the scheming face Rebekah, Genesis 27:13. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice and go fetch me them. Oh, this is sad because Rebekah's morning almost dazzles us with its brightness. She was vivacious, beautiful, charming. She had a beautiful beginning. When we first see her in the Bible, it's such a glorious, glorious thing. But her eventide is a black and dreary night without even a star. Abraham sends a steward, a friend, and a brother in the faith, and asks that this person find a wife for his son Isaac. Isaac can't marry a pagan woman, for Abraham realizes how hard it is for a man to stand loyal without the backing of the wife. Listen to that. He realized how difficult it was for a man to stand loyal without the backing of his wife. Oh, lady, again, how important you are. When we talk about how important you are negatively and how some of these women have been using the Bible negatively to be warnings to us, let us also talk about if we believe women can be this negative, look how much we must believe women can be positive influences for good, and we do believe that, and we do know it, the backing of a good wife. So the steward prayed for a generous, kind girl who would willingly serve. And he said, I'll go into this country and I'll ask for a drink, and I'll see if the girl will say yes, I'll give you a drink and your camels also. Now our preacher always talks about the fact of, do we know what it means to give water for camels? And they had to go a long way and get that water. It wasn't just turning on the hose, you know. She had to really work, and this would certainly mean she was a worker and a willing, cheerful person who could do all of these things. And she wanted to. Rebekah was the one. The old man, no appeal, you see. Just an old man. Came up probably dirty after the trip and everything, and came up and said, could I have a drink? And she said, yes, and I'll give your camels water also. She was the one. She was a beautiful girl, and she was a girl that would just be the right one for... He was so pleased. He had been able to do a good job for his master. He was going to bring back the one for his master's son. So he asked about the family. He asked Rebekah about her family and found out a little about her family and gave her some golden earrings and a bracelet. I guess everybody likes golden earrings and bracelets, don't they? Laban was Rebekah's brother. And he displayed a trait right then which became more conspicuous by the years. And here's a quote directly. He has an eye for gain. And I guess this was Rebekah's problem too. Maybe it was a family problem that had come back down from the parents. Of course, most of us want to gain for ourselves, but some are more ambitious. Some are more greedily ambitious than others. And the brother says, come thou blessed of the Lord. He saw that golden earring and those golden bracelets, and he was very willing to give his sister. A lot of you'd be willing to give your sister, too, for a golden earring and a golden bracelet, not because you wanted the jewelry, but the gold in it. Come thou blessed of the Lord, says the brother. And the steward asked the family if Rebekah can go back with him. And the family said, wilt thou go with this man? And she answered, I will go. Here was a woman of decision and courage, as Deborah had decision and courage. Here was a woman who was ambitious and a willing worker and cooperative and cheerful. She had so much. But as many women who have so much, there can be a flaw. There can be that because you have so much, because you can do so much, you want your way more than God's way. You're able to persuade people. You know how to get your own way. You're cunning, you're beautiful, you're a good worker, and you throw people off guard, and you know how to get your own way. You know how to talk yourself out of anything. And when you're like that, watch out that you don't try to get your way instead of God's, because all your talent will be down the drain. Her motives are mixed, as ours often are. A lot of times our motives aren't all healthy and good. Her motives, it wasn't just decision and courage. Here were some of her motives. 1, partly it was faith. 2, an eager desire to help. She loved to help, and some good women love to help. Number 3, some women who are good in that way but are bad in other ways, they love to help, though. That's their way of getting in. Number 3, love of adventure and romance, daring. She was one of those probably sanguine type personalities who loved people and loved to do things and was not afraid of anything. And this was just an adventure to her. She didn't care so much and look back, and she might have hated to leave her folks and her family and her country, but she wasn't going to be depressed over it. She was so excited about seeing what was going to happen. And then number 4, the wealth of the future husband. Now, these are some of the motives that could have been for her leaving. During the trip, she had second thoughts and wondered what she was doing here. Have you ever had second thoughts? Maybe God's told you to go someplace or do something, or you... Oh, I remember when I went clear across the country to Bob Jones University the first morning at 5 o'clock, I woke up and a train, that lonely train whistle at 5 o'clock in the morning. I thought, where am I? Why am I here? What am I doing here? I don't belong here. Will I ever be able to find a place where I belong again? You really have a strange feeling when you're on those when you're in the middle of a move, or when you're going through that transition period. Let me interject here. Don't do anything. Don't decide you're not going to like a place at least for a year. You're going through a transition time. And that transition time can be a time that you can draw toward the Lord more than any other time in your life. You don't know people as you did at the last place. You don't know people as you are going to know them here. You draw nigh unto the Lord at that time when you're going through one of those transition times. She's going through a transition time. Had no idea who her husband was going to be or anything else. At last she sees someone walking in the field and her heart beats just a little bit faster. She thinks, that must be Isaac. They're strangers, but then many are strangers today, even though they have dated a long time. They don't know each other. They don't know how to talk to each other. Maybe they have gone out and parked cars together, but they don't know each other. They don't even know that they have any interest in common in this day of petting and necking. All they know is that they have had some kind of chemical reaction with each other, but they don't know each other any more than Rebekah and Isaac knew each other. Isaac and Rebekah seem to have begun at once to grow apart after they married instead of growing together. Is that the story of your marriage? Have you grown apart from the very minute you were married instead of growing together? You always do one or the other. In 20 years from now, you'll love each other for more, or for far more, or far less, one or the other. I don't mean that growing apart necessarily has to happen the first year you're married or the first minute you're married, but sometimes it does. Sometimes it's right from the very first. But you're going to be closer or farther apart. They became divorced in their hearts. Are you divorced? Some of you think you're not divorced and would never think of divorce, but you're divorced. You don't know a thing about that man to whom you're married. You don't know him anymore. There's no communication. You have a business deal going, and you stay under the same roof, and you see to it that when the house needs repaired, you talk with him about that. You have a business partnership, but you're divorced. You actually are. Isaac was a good man. He was the passive type person with a mother complex. See the stage getting set here? As Rebekah assumed larger responsibilities, she became stronger, while Isaac became weaker. Isaac was passive, Rebekah was active. And many times this is the case. Opposites do attract. Opposites complete each other. But if the woman will be smart enough not to be so active, and see to it that she puts her husband up, not pushes him up, puts him up. If you have that kind of a marriage, you could make a weak man as Isaac was made a weak man, but Isaac could have been somebody special with the right woman. Wouldn't you hate to be that woman that after you die, your husband marries again and is happier than he's ever been in his life and becomes somebody better than he's ever been in his life with you? I've seen that happen. I've seen it happen in men of older years lose their wife, and the marriage seemed to be pretty good, but they became so much greater with the second wife, and there was so much more happiness, and you could almost see it before your eyes. Wouldn't you hate to be that? Isaac lost self-respect. He began to think only of his personal comfort, and when a person only thinks of their personal comfort, what they want, what they'd like, of course they don't have much self-respect, and soon they are nothing. A person who puts their mind on themselves becomes a nothing. Just as soon as your own sickness, your age, your whatever it is, but I'm this, and constantly saying, but I'm this, but I'm that, and your mind on yourself, whether it's in conceit, although I'm not sure there ever is such a thing as conceit. I really believe anybody who appears conceited is having a bad case of inferiority complex. I believe that with all my heart. I don't think that's just a psychological statement. I really believe that. I just don't know if there are any cases of superiority. I don't know if I've ever seen one. People who act superior, of course, feel very inferior. Anytime I've acted superior, I've felt very insecure. And I believe most of you will attest to that same thing, but we won't give others the benefit of that doubt. Naturally, Rebekah lost respect for her childish husband and looked upon him even in contempt when she had helped to make him that way by her very strength. A woman is wise if she finds a way to look up to her husband, even if she puts him on a stepladder in order to look up to him. He will gain strength from seeing himself as successful since she sees him as successful. Put yourself last, and God will put you first. Now, here's our stage. Let's set the stage. Rebekah and Isaac had 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. Jacob was Rebekah's favorite. Esau was Isaac's. There's your problem right in the first place. Ask God to see to it that you do not have any favorites in your family. Be sure that you love each child special for what he or she is. You're not going to love them alike. You don't even do the same types of things for them. Don't even try to do the same types of things for them because they're different children. And what one needs another does not need. You discipline them differently. And when they start to say, but you didn't do this for so-and-so, say, oh, of course not. That's a different child. But be sure that love, although it's not alike, that it's shown and that each one knows he's special. Each one knows that he is different and unique and that you love him in a certain way. One child you can go up and kiss and hug, give a hug around the neck, and another one you can't do that at all. But you find the way in which you can show love to that other child. There are ways. It's going to have to be done in a different way with some children. But Rebekah and Isaac had their favorites. Rebekah's favorite was Jacob, and he was shrewd and calculating and ambitious. Isaac's favorite was Esau, and this figures because Esau was what Isaac wasn't. Esau completed Isaac. Esau was the vigorous, magnificent animal, the sensualist type person, the one who forged ahead and charged ahead. And often we go toward those people who complete us. There was a birthright, which was a mess of pottage. Now, isn't that something for some kind of a mess of pottage? Just a mess of pottage. And a lot of people say today, like chili, a mess of chili. Esau was interested in what he could see. You see, he was a sensualist. What the senses could see, what he could touch, what he could taste, what he could feel, what was right there in the immediate. Esau was interested in what he saw. He responded to his environment. He didn't hate God. He just ignored him. He was easygoing and had little ambition. In short, he was an uncontrolled sanguine, I believe. Isaac told Esau the end was near and that Esau should go kill a deer. When Isaac came to the point of his death, he told Esau that the end was very near, and he wanted Esau to go kill a deer and prepare him a dinner, and he'd then give Esau his blessing. Esau was the oldest. Esau was supposed to have the blessing, the birthright. So, listen. Rebekah told Jacob to kill some birds, and they'd beat Esau to the draw. Oh, conniving, scheming. That's the same kind of woman who says, let's buy 2 dresses instead of 1, honey, and we'll put one under the bed, and when Daddy's in a good mood, we'll pull that second one out and show him, and he'll never know the difference. Same kind of conniving. Jacob didn't want to do this because he was afraid of being caught. My father might detect the fraud and give me a curse rather than a blessing. And the schemer Rebekah said, upon me be the curse. But let me tell you something. We cannot say that. She reaped as she sowed, so she really did take the blame more than she ever realized she would, but everyone else took it with her too. Everyone else has blessings with you. Everyone else has curses with you. We do not live into ourselves, and we cannot say, I'll take the blame. God will let what happen. He'll run the show if you please. He still has his hands on this. You don't decide who will take the blame. She paid the penalty that all pay when they build upon a lie. It never stops. Liars, some of you would tell the lie. You'll tell a lie when it'd be easier to tell the truth. You have gotten in such a habit of lying that you don't even know what the truth is. And other women say about you, you cannot depend on her. You do not know what she said. You don't know whether what she's saying is right or whether it isn't. You hardly even realize that you're a liar. Now, in deceit, of course, it's difficult to know when we're deceiving, but we're talking about actual lying. All right, she lost herself. She lost any love of her husband. She had the complete loss of Esau, of course, and lost any chance for love between the brothers. And then she lost her favorite, the one she fought for, that which you fight for the most and try to keep the most. It'll be the one that you lose when you fight for them. Let them go. Let them be in God's will. Give them back to God, and He'll let you have them probably. Her favorite, much more at least, her favorite, as he fled for his life, she never saw him again. The one for whom she fought so desperately. And more tragic, the curse did not come to her alone. No one ever inherits a curse or a blessing alone. Esau bitterly threw himself away on pagan wives and became the father of a nation that hurt Israel for centuries to come. The blackest curse was the one Rebekah put upon her favorite. Oh, my. Number one, she sent him out convinced that in a world where the law of sowing and reaping works with mathematical exactness, she set him out convinced he could use cunning to reverse that law. He cannot. He could not. Your child cannot. When you take up for your child, when you do for your child, and see to it that your child doesn't have to go according to the rules, you're helping him to think that he can reverse the law of sowing and reaping. You won't always be there to take up for him. You won't always be there to do the things that he's supposed to do. Don't help him to think that he can reverse the law of sowing and reaping. No one can. It can be stalled for a while. You can stall it for your child for a while. But he will eventually reap, and he will reap tragically. Number two, what did she do to her favorite? She made him think that he could gather grapes of thorns and figs of thistles. You can't. Same thing. It really is number one. Another way of putting it, she made him think he could gather grapes of thorns and figs of thistles. She made him think that he could sow one thing and reap another. Number three, she cursed her son with the damning conviction that sin could be made to pay. She said, we'll do this, and we'll finagle, and we'll connive. Now, there's a sense in which I actually believe in finagling, if you want to call it that. I don't like the word, and some people say, I don't believe in manipulating people. I believe that if we, a lot of times people say, well, I'm just doing it for your own good. And they're not doing it for your own good. They're doing it for their good. But there are times in which if I could calculate how to help a person help himself, I will do it. And I believe it's just as right as the Word of God. But she was conniving and calculating and finagling in order to damn her son, actually, to the conviction that sin could be made to pay. What a great opportunity this woman had. What a fine beginning. What a good woman. But she messed up her life. She brought suffering to those who are nearest to her. Now, in most studies of women of the Bible, we just give the study of the woman of the Bible without applying it to our own hearts, without saying just exactly how we go right along with this same study, how we can better take warning from what God's giving us through this woman's life. He wants us to realize we could have a fine beginning. We could have opportunities unbelievable, and most of us in Christian work do. Most of us who are married to those in Christian work have opportunities we never believed as a child we had no idea we'd ever be used as we're being used. And yet, God will have to bring us down because we begin to get some kind of an idea of ourselves that we are the ones being used. That we in ourselves, now some of you don't have any of that kind of trouble. You think you're not being used either. We get too high of opinion of ourselves. If the devil can't get us one way, ladies, he'll get us another. We get too high of opinion of ourselves and decide we are the one doing the job. And that we are pretty talented. And that we are fairly intelligent. And that maybe God just couldn't get along without us. Instead of realizing it's God doing it through us. Instead of realizing that the minute that we take our hands and use them for our own advantage, the minute that we take our mouth and use it for to our advantage that God can take that power away from us in a second. But if he can't get you on that side, he'll get you on the other side where you're saying, but I can't be used. I'm just a woman. I'm just a housewife. Don't ever say that. Don't ever say that. What do you mean you're just a woman? God has taken women and used them in unbelievable ways. You're just a woman? That means that you're just the one that, if any man has ever come on earth to be used of God and to be a great man of God, it's been through a woman. That's what you are. That's how important you are. You're just a woman. You're the only one who can give training to your children. You can hire custodial care. You can hire even companions for your children. You cannot hire anyone who will train your child as God wants only you to train him. No one will take the time to train a child the way his own mother will train him. You're the one who is going to be responsible now if God chooses to take you out of the life. And if some girl's listening to this, as I have a girl here at Hyles-Anderson College who didn't have a mother after the 8th grade and reared her 4 younger brothers. If you're a young girl trying to be, God will endue you with special power if he's put you into that place. You can get the training even if you don't have a mother. God will give you a woman. You ask God for a woman in your life. But mothers, you who are saying, I'm just a woman, how dare you put down these things that God's made you to be? How dare you say God doesn't know what he's doing? And that's what you're doing when you're complaining. I'm just a housewife. Just a mother, just a wife, just a keeper of the home. That's all I am. Oh, that God could help you to know how important those things are. And that all of the world will depend on your knowing that those are important. If you don't feel too important, you probably feel too little importance. Not realizing that you're a woman in God's plan. That you're a woman who can be used of God in such a mighty way that just a word from you can be something that would cause a person who is going down this road to be led to Christ. Would cause someone like a salesman to go down a country road and come up to a door and have that person at the door say, won't you go to church with me tomorrow? And that boy never could get away from it. Could you be that woman? That kind of woman is the kind of woman that's been used in my life. A woman I'll never know. A woman, I don't even know if she's alive. I don't even know if, I don't know a thing about her. A woman who just asked a boy at a door, do you know if you could go to church with me tomorrow? I don't even know if she knew how to tell him how to be saved. Except he couldn't get away from whatever it was she told him. He got a Bible. He bought a New Testament at a drugstore and started walking down the road as a salesman with a briefcase in one hand and that New Testament in the other. A preacher went by and stopped and said, are you a Christian? Is that a Bible? And he said, this is a Bible, but I'm not a Christian. He got him in the back seat of his car and won him to the Lord and gave him a copy of the Sword of the Lord. That boy came back to Nebraska and affected my life and many other people's lives as he began to tell about being saved, something I'd really not understood or didn't know a thing about. I think I'd heard the term before but thought it was really fanatical and way out and far out and didn't even know it was a Bible term. And he started talking about it. That woman was used in my life. What do you mean I'm just a woman? I'm just a farm woman. I just go out and feed the chickens and I'm just a woman. But are you God's woman? Then if you're in his place, you might be used to win someone like Leroy Leland, who was responsible to come back and change a group of people in a little town in Nebraska, who was responsible for my going to a Sword of the Lord conference because of the fact that a preacher gave a Sword of the Lord. Then another woman came into place just where God wanted her. Just where God wanted her. In fact, 2 women. I didn't get to know Mrs. John R. Rice very well when I was 16 at that Sword of the Lord conference. But I'll never forget that that's the first time I knew about submission to a husband. My mother was submissive, but and she did what her husband said and was always doing what her husband said. But Bible submission, she was always saying, do what Dad says. Let's have the kind of food Dad says. But Mrs. Rice was selling books. And as she sold those books, the service started, and Dr. Rice looked down and said, Mother, or whatever he called her. Mother, if you can't stop the selling of those books, we'll have to put somebody else at that book table. And at first I was aghast and horrified, and then I realized the love in his voice and realized he meant, this is for your good. And she, you know how everybody tries to keep on having you buy, they want just one more book. And that's what she was doing, yielding to their request for just one more book. And he said, the book table has to be closed. That's the first time I'd seen anything like that publicly. I didn't know about Bible submission. And then another woman, a woman I did get to know because she was on the platform, Miss Ferry Shepherd, who is now Dr. Ferry Shepherd. A woman who got up to sing a song, I'm Going Higher Someday, a song I'd never heard. And who broke down and cried as she thought about going to heaven. And I'd never seen anything like it before. And she was a lady. She dressed as a lady. And she was using my life. She's just a woman. She's just a woman. Mrs. John R. Rice is just a woman. You say, but I'm not that kind. I'm not like Miss Ferry Shepherd and Mrs. John R. Rice. Are you like the farm woman? She started the whole thing. Are you just a woman? Be used of God. Be different. Be a princess. Be a queen. Be someone who's not a griper, a complainer, a whiner, a gossiper. Be someone a girl can look to and say, I want to be like her. She's not perfect, but it's a pattern. I see Jesus in her. I want to be like her. How we need some women used of God. If we don't get them, people, there are going to be a lot more Rebekahs. There are going to be a lot more people such as Job's wife who say, curse God and die. There are going to be a lot more of those who connive and scheme and try, because the whole world's working against us. Women's liberation and everything that the world teaches is working against the very teachings of the Word of God. If we don't have some examples of some women who want to be queens for the Lord Jesus Christ and who will not point to themselves but to Jesus, we're going to be in some troubles like we've never seen. Do you love your children? Make a better world for those children by being a woman used of God, so that your girl will be able to say, I grew up in the home of a woman who was different. I know what you're talking about. That's exactly what I saw. Rebekah was a schemer. She had a scheming face, but she had a wonderful beginning. Her morning almost dazzles us with its brightness, but her eventide is a black and dreary night without a star. If you had a beautiful morning, a beautiful beginning of your life, if you began life in a way that almost dazzled you, be sure that your eventide is just as beautiful. Be sure that those years when you live those older years, if God allows you a long life, that they'll be just as beautiful, that you won't begin complaining then. If you weren't a young complaining woman, don't be an old complaining woman. Be in old age just exactly what God would have had you be in your youth. You might not have the strength, but you don't need the strength. You have a lot of keys to open doors you didn't have when you were younger. Tremendous Jones says you get a key ring when you're born, and you don't have any keys on the key ring, and it's hard to find your way into the doors, but as you get years of experience, you get more keys on the ring. Therefore, when you're older, you don't need as much strength. You don't need all the things you had in your youth because you know how to get into the doors faster. Use that experience to pull middle-aged ladies into old age with. Say, come on in, it's okay. It's all right. I'm going out the same way I came in a blaze of glory, because I am not just a woman. I'm a woman used of God, a woman who's special and unique, a princess, a queen. My works will follow after.